We're doubling down in Minnesota. We'll send more agents there, and not only to continue arresting the worst of public safety threats, but to arrest agitators that cross the line. Yeah, you can protest all you want. You have that constitutional right, but when you cross that line of impeding, interfering, and putting hands on an ICE officer, you're going to jail. You're going to be federally prosecuted and going to jail. So we're actually sending more agents there to do exactly that. So we're not overwhelmed. So when a situation happens, they surge and start putting hands on our ICE officers and openly impeding, standing between us and the bad guy. They're going to be arrested, and we got more resources on the ground to do that. We're not going away. Well,
So
I just heard a politician just before I walked in there saying ICE has brought chaos to Minnesota. No, chaos brought ICE to Minnesota.
So the surge, Tom, is not just, as you point out, to focus on illegal immigrants, but to focus as well on the people that are interfering with law enforcement. Does that also include, when President Trump says reckoning and retribution, I do wonder about the role being played by politicians. And, whether or not that's Mayor Jacob Fry, Attorney General Keith Ellison, who conducted a press conference yesterday suggesting they are suing the federal government, they're suing DHS, or the governor, Tim Walz. I can't help but wonder if that reckoning also applies to politicians.
Well, I'm certain it does. I mean, I haven't talked to President Trump in the last a day or so, but I can tell you that, I've said for a long time that, inciting violence is illegal. And what concerns me most is that these politicians use the term murderer, secret police, Nazis, racists. And I said since March, I was out there wide and about saying if the hateful rhetoric doesn't decrease, there's going to be bloodshed. And of course, the left said I was crazy and a fearmonger. And unfortunately, I've been right. There's been a lot of bloodshed. And unfortunately, I don't think it's over. I mean, I would think after what happened in Minnesota, the shooting, they take a step back and let the FBI investigation, work its way through. But right away, they're comparing this officer to a murderer and ICE agents to murders. And I just think that is just going to bring more hate. That's going to bring that small percentage of people that are half nuts anyways to take action against ICE. They feel emboldened. If a U.S. senator, a U.S. congressman, or governor can call ICE a murderer and secret police, that justifies what action we take against these officers. But I want people to understand, I was a Border Patrol agent. I was an ICE agent. These ICE agents, they're moms and dads too. They don't hang their heart on a hook when they come to work. They're enforcing laws enacted by Congress. For any member of Congress to attack them for enforcing the laws that they wrote is just ridiculous.
I've wondered, Tom, and you bring up your past service as an on the ground in the field agent. And I did this conversation yesterday on the Will Cain show on the Fox News channel. When do I start seeing ICE agents, Border Patrol agents sue for defamation? Mostly I have been curious about, and really honestly, in some ways imploring the Border Patrol agents who were accused of whipping Haitian migrants by former President Joe Biden and former Vice President Kamala Harris, among many others, to sue them for defamation. It fits the classical legal definition of defamation. And now, to your point, you have all of these, not just politicians, but now celebrities and sports figures like head coaches in the NBA, Doc Rivers and Steve Kerr, calling this agent in Minnesota a murderer. And I do wonder what is holding back these agents for demanding accountability in the form of a lawsuit for defamation.
I think things are so bad now, where you're going to see that start happening. I've talked to a few people, and I think you're going to see it happening. And for this agent that was involved in the shooting, I think he's going to, wait for this investigation to pan itself out and wait for them to come out with actual facts, what happened. Then I think you may see him take action, because I know for a fact, now he has to be in hiding. I seen a post this morning on the way to the studio here with his picture, wanted for murder. It's beyond the pale. So I think you're going to see more of that happening now, because they're way over the line. We always immigration enforcement's always been controversial. It's always been, tug at the heartstrings. I get it. But you know what? They're way over the line now. So I think you're going to see a lot more lawsuits coming here in the near future.
So this agent right now, Tom, is in hiding?
Yes. for the safety of him and his family. I mean, there are wanted posters with his picture, his license plate number, you know, and the death threats against him and his family. Well, just before I walked in my last interview, my chief of security showed me a posting wanting my family dead. They've lost their minds. I mean, you're talking about federal law enforcement officers out there enforcing the law, and you want to kill them for it. We're in a world right now where those who enforce the law are the bad guys, and those who break the law are the victims.
What is life like for you right now, Tom? I mean, you have that threat. Have you had to make significant adjustments to your life?
I got no privacy anymore. My wife has lived away from me for months because of the threats. But now that I have a full-time security detail, where she was in a different place. But then reporters started snooping around where she was, trying to find out who my two boys were. So we brought her back to the main residence. She's under security too. But I can't, she can't go to the grocery store shopping. I can't just go to a restaurant and eat. I mean, but if they think they're going to bully me away or intimidate me, it's not going to work. We're in this. We're in this for the long run, and I know in my heart what we're doing is right. I mean, all you got to do is look at Bill Melugion's post the other day talking about people who were taken off the streets in Minneapolis. Some of the child rapists. Who's going to stand between a law enforcement officer and arresting an illegal alien child rapist? It just amazes me every day that there are people out there willing to do that.
There's several things that we've now opened the conversation on that I want to follow up with, Tom, but I'm going to follow up with the most recent thing you bring up. Bill Melugion's post on the guys that you're arresting. And that is something that you have said a lot, Tom, that we are arresting the worst of the worst. We're arresting criminals. Well, that is something that Attorney General of Minnesota Keith Ellison challenged yesterday, and I want to play this for you. Here's what he said about who is actually being arrested by DHS.
They have detained law-abiding citizens, leaving them handcuffed for hours just because of the color of their skin or what they're wearing, or they speak English with an accent. And on January 7th, 2026, a DHS agent shot and killed Renee Nicole Good.
All right, Tom, you're here there. He suggests your standards for arrest in Minnesota are the color of someone's skin and their accents, not their criminal record.
Look, men and women of ICE and CBP, they go through Fourth Amendment training. They know exactly what's required to make an arrest. However, the Supreme Court just agreed with us just recently that reasonable suspicion is the federal statute that covers this. If you have reasonable suspicion someone's in the country illegally, it gives you authority to momentarily detain and question them. And that's what these guys are working on. Reasonable suspicion is a myriad of factors, extenuating circumstances that, you say, okay, this person's worth questioning momentarily, detaining momentarily, but they're not going to be arrested unless there's probable cause. That's what he needs to know. Hey, look, and I got a message for him. Why is ICE in Minneapolis? Well, first of all, we've been there for decades, but why is there a surge in Minneapolis? Because they're a sanctuary city, sanctuary state. If you let us into jail to arrest the illegal alien, public safety threat that you locked in a jail cell, give them straight to us in the jail rather than to release them back in the public. So you are forcing us to go into the community and find these public safety threats. Let us into jail. Stop being a sanctuary city, sanctuary state. More agents in the jail means less agents in the community. So you've set the stage for this. Not only have you set the stage for this, the Biden administration for 4 years released millions of illegal aliens in this country, many of them criminals that weren't properly vetted. They set the stage. We're just responding, trying to fix the mess that they created. So come to the table, work with us, help us arrest illegal alien public safety threats in the safety and security of a jail, which is safer for the agent, safer for the community, and even safer for the illegal alien, because anything can happen on a street arrest. So, they can help fix this if they work with us.
Okay, so let's stay on that note for just a moment. Yesterday in their press conference, Mayor Jacob Frey and Attorney General Keith Ellison suggested that the only reason that ICE is in Minnesota because President Trump has targeted blue states with Democrat mayors and Democrat governors. They specifically said you don't see the numbers of ICE agents in Texas or in Florida that you see in Minnesota. Their explanation, because those states are red. What do you say to Ellison and Fry?
That's a bunch of crap. The reason is because those states work with us. Governor Abbott and DeSantis, they work with us. Law enforcement work with us. They're 287G partners. They work very, so we don't have, and I said from day one, all these thousands of agents we're hiring, where are they going? They're going to sanctuary cities because we know there's a problem there. For instance, I look at numbers this morning, my chief of staff gave me, over 450 criminal aliens were released to the street. They ignored the detainer in the past year. I mean, public safety threats, 450 just released to the street rather than working with ICE. And right now there's over 1,300 detainers pending with the state right now on criminal aliens, public safety threats. And we're asking them, please, release, when you're done with these people, release them to us rather than putting them in the community, putting the community at greater risk of crime and putting our agents at great risk. And look, in this whole game they play that sanctuary cities, we're a sanctuary because we're a welcoming community. We want illegal alien people to feel safe coming to the police to report either as a victim or witness of a crime. That is a bunch of crap because the victims and witnesses of crime don't want the bad guy released back in the neighborhood either. And we're not looking to talk to the victim or witness. We want to talk to the person that you independently locked in a jail cell for obviously a public safety threat. That's who we want to talk to.